Hey guys, we are on. If you could like our videos and subscribe to our channel, that would be a massive help in terms of what we do on a consistent day-to-day basis in terms of ministry efforts. Tonight, I want to put up a video on the topic of Christian churches using sort of like triangles and other types of Freemason-related imagery in their set design, sort of to go along with their worship services. This has become really popular maybe in the last 3 to 5 years from churches in various church movements and denominations using, especially, I want to add to, especially in your sort of attractional or seeker-friendly churches, uh, using really the only way it can be described is sort of a Freemasonry images or sort of artwork, things like the triangle, things like the all-seeing eye. And we have seen these type of images grow in popularity, especially here in Orange County, in a lot of Christian churches. And it's really a bummer because I think a lot of people just simply do not realize sort of the connotations that these images have. These are images that are associated with Freemasonry. And it's important to understand that Freemasons have sort of this general, as far as I know from studying Freemasonry a little, sort of general view of sort of a higher power. And there are people that are part of Freemasonry and they're part of all different religions. And that is not saying that is compatible with the Christian faith. The Christian faith is, Jesus is very clear, John chapter 14, verse 6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. I firmly believe that you cannot be a Christian and a Freemason. Freemasonry is sort of a form of secret society, essentially, would fall under that type of category. And I know a long time ago with certain secret societies or brotherhoods, there would have to be blood oaths, other types of rituals, and things that oftentimes, unfortunately, are derived from things like black magic or the occult. And as Christians, it's the book of Deuteronomy is pretty clear. We do not want to mess around with things that are occult or have type demonic origins in nature. So, I really believe very firmly we should not be using Freemason symbols like the triangle or the all-seeing eye in any Christian church. It's a bummer to see churches that claim to be Bible-teaching churches here in Orange County using Freemason-related imagery, things like the all-seeing eye or the triangle. And these triangles have become very popular, especially in attractional churches. In the space sort of behind, maybe next to the drum kit or on the platform, behind where there would normally be a pulpit. And these are type of churches too where there usually is no visible pulpit. There's usually no cross. They keep the cross out of the sanctuary because that's sort of seen as, oh, that's going to offend people. We don't want any type of actual overt Christian imagery. So instead they put in these sort of bizarre abstract art pieces that look like there's something out of a modern art show. They put in the triangles sort of all over the place as sort of a decor type thing. And I think it's really sad because I think as Christians, I look at the example of the Apostle Paul, he was unashamed of his faith. And I think when we don't actually put things like crosses in our churches, we aren't transparent about what we believe as Christians, and we don't stand for the message of the gospel, that we're actually showing that we are ashamed of our faith. I think we are called to be 100% unashamed of the Christian life and the Christian faith. I look at the Apostle Paul, I look at John the Baptist. These guys were sold out for their faith. They were very firm about living their lives 100% all out for the Lord. And I think that it's really sad to see churches who are sort of watering down the message of the gospel and watering down the message of the Christian faith. And really sort of the Freemasonry type does sort of inspired art that has a lot of people call set design. Nowadays, I think it's just really a bummer to see Christian artwork taken out of churches. Christian icons, things like the cross, the crown of thorns, things are very clear at depicting what Christianity is all about. Jesus talks a lot about the cross, about picking up your cross and denying yourself. And that's a big theme in the Christian life, is self-denial. And I think it's really sad to see crosses taken out of Christian churches. And unfortunately, it's become a very trendy thing. People think that people will magically come to your church if you take out, the cross from your platform, or, oh, you don't have a pulpit and say you have a plastic stand. And we sort of take out all these things that actually show people this is what we believe. We believe that this was a real event that happened, the crucifixion, that Jesus was nailed, he died, but he rose again, that Jesus came back and he bodily resurrected from the grave, that this was a real event that actually happened. And I think it's sad to see Christian churches taking the cross out of their church, taking a pulpit out of their church, and instead making their church look like sort of just the latest cool, trendy, secular clothing store, you know, with like ladders hanging from the ceiling and weird objects. I just think it's really bizarre and it's a real bummer. So yeah, this video is about why Christians should not use Freemasonry related imagery in their churches. And another thing I want to talk about too is other religions use Freemasonry inspired imagery as part of their religious services. It's important to understand that Mormonism, which is a cult, it is not at all Christian. Mormons do not worship the God of the Bible. Mormons are polytheists. They believe they can become their own gods. They do not believe in one God. As Christians, we are monotheists and we worship the God of the Bible. That is why Mormonism is outside of Christian orthodoxy and is considered a cult. Mormonism is heterodox in nature. And Mormonism is heavily steeped in ideas from Freemasonry. They use things like rituals and keys and handshakes that are often inspired by the Freemasons. And a lot of their imagery, especially if you go to Salt Lake City, Utah, and walk around and look at the different types of relics, landmarks, and also their own temples, they have a ton of all-seeing eye, the triangle, the sort of various things we see on our dollar bills, various types of sort of imagery that really was inspired and created by the Freemasons. So this is not even conspiracy theory stuff, guys. This is just sort of 101, like common sense. If you see this type of imagery used in a Christian church, you should probably, you can always vote your butt and get up and leave. You do not have to go there. But if it's claimed to be a Bible teaching church, I would ask pastor, like, hey, do you know what this stuff represents? The triangle or the all-seeing eye? Why do we have to have these things in our churches? Like, why don't we have a cross? Or where'd the pulpit go? Where's, you know, these type of things oftentimes today in this today's day and age and culture that we live in are seen as like offensive. Like we should, unfortunately, people think that if they take the cross out of their church, that people will magically flock to their church. And that's sad because we see very clearly in the Gospels that the message of the gospel is offensive to those who do not know Jesus. And I think that it's really sad when we take out Christian imagery out of our churches and people think that somehow this is like an okay thing to do. So I think it's really important to have Christian imagery in our churches as Christians. And I think that really if you go to a church where there's a ton of Freemasonry-related imagery, you should probably consider talking to your pastor about that, asking, hey, what's the motive behind this? Why is this stuff in our church in the first place? Personally, I would advise you not to go to a church that has things like triangles or the all-seeing eye or any of that type of junk anywhere around it. I think that is dangerous stuff, and I think that you do not want to mess with that stuff. Personally, I think it doesn't have any place in a professing Bible teaching church. So hopefully this video informs you guys. Like I said, a lot of different religions outside of Christianity use Freemasonry related imagery, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, which is a cult, and the Mormons, which are a cult. They are outside of Christian orthodoxy. They are not Christian groups. And because of that, since these other religions like Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses use Freemason-related imagery as part of their religions, we as Christians should not be using Freemason-related imagery in any aspect of our lives or our church services, guys. Hope you found this video informative, guys. God bless and have an awesome day.